I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with
DANK.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the lumadonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of mankind for their own stupid reasons. How's it going, Tank?
Well, everything is lovely. Things are coming together. I am in a very calm and expectant place right now. I don't know if I don't think I told you this. I think Kim just told me yesterday, and I had some drama yesterday, so I apologize for that to everyone that I wasn't able to make it on yesterday. But it's very interesting. Yesterday, Kim was telling me how the whole week long last week, the FBI and the I don't know, I guess the Black Sun and the Federal Reserve and the Rothschilds, they were all hacking the trust again, right? Which I don't even know where they do this from. Like, now they never break through anything, right? So, I feel like I should send my condolences to the hackers, right? Who are used to being like the best hackers in the world, right? And they're just used to breaking codes, and all of a sudden they're up against the quantum system and they can't even break through the first firewall, right? So this is what happens. They can't break through the firewall all week long, and Kim basically, allows them to wear themselves out. Then she shuts the whole thing down. Shuts the FBI down, because I guess it was actually coming out of Langley 2 or whatever, and shuts that all down, and they get blown up. And then what she does, because Kim just has great flair, to be honest. She just sends them the song by Billy Idol called "Dancing with Myself." So, here they are very seriously and feverishly looking for an error message or whatever, right? And Kim just says, "Dancing with myself." Actually, here's the quote she sent it to me. She said, if I had the chance, I'd ask the world to dance, but I'm dancing with myself. So
they don't have a chance, in other words.
Yeah, in other words, because they just won't cooperate, they're going to get killed. I mean, not killed. I mean, they're just going to be a pariah in the world financial system. It's amazing. All these agencies, they have no real affiliation with the government, right? We treat them like they're law enforcement.
Right.
But obviously,
they're
not enforcing laws.
They're policy enforcement.
Right. So they enforce, the cabal policies, right? And they have access to all this stuff, right? And they're intelligence agencies, But now is the first time they've ever all had access to the same stuff because of what Kim did, right? So that's kind of an amazing thing when you think about it. It's like, well, isn't it kind of redundant now to have 9 different agencies? Like 20 or 30, whatever, however many it is, right? All doing something different. Now you guys all have access to the same data. Whatever data you put in the system now it's gonna synchronize and everyone will have it. So that's one thing. But then you got to think they're basically, they're hacking themselves out of existence. Because you got to think, it's like we know very clearly the FBI is very corrupt at this point, right? I mean, you have this massive scandal. We know the CIA, from the top down, is obviously very corrupt. I mean, you have the head of the CIA, or former head of the CIA, the former head of the FBI, both right now are caught in a horrible scam trying to take down the American president.
Yeah, don't forget Clapper, head of the NSA. All 3 of them.
Oh, and Clapper. So they have the NSA, the FBI, and the CIA are all on the blocks right now, and absolutely, there's no question that they committed crimes. They committed crimes. We all know it. They mishandled it. They mishandled evidence. They falsified documentation. They lied, right? And it's not even a question if they committed crimes. Now the question is, will they be tried properly for treason, as they should be, right? Because that is inevitable.
So
or it's going to be one of those things like we allow them to age out, and then they're put to death when they're like, 93 years old in a wheelchair like George W. Bush was, or John McCain.
I'm sharing my screen with you right now.
Oh.
All right. Okay. And it says former U.S. President B. Obama. is now severe legal jeopardy because of Russiagate investigation has turned 180 degrees, and he instead of the current President Trump is in the crosshairs. You know, the biggest crime that the U.S. president can commit is to try to defeat American democracy, the constitutional functioning of the U.S. government itself, either by working with foreign powers to take it over, or else by working internally within America to sabotage democracy for his or her own personal reasons. Either way, it's treason. So, you know, so that I was going to bring up this story this way. It's from Zero Hedge, you know, it came in. But yeah, so who's behind it all is him, right? He was orchestrating it. So, you know, it's Clapper and Brennan and Comey, but who's behind them and who's responsible? You know, beyond the cabal and the puppet masters behind Obama, but this is where it's going to get to. So publicly, this is where it's going to end up. It's going to be at his doorstep. And I don't know if you caught this, but on Fox, Comey was in an interview with Chris Wallace, and you know, and he went through all of the clips of Comey saying, "Hey, you said this." And the IG says that, and then Comey just keeps peddling his BS. I mean, it's like without even batting an eye and not looking. He is a true sociopath, and yeah, it is so unbelievable that with the evidence right in front, right, he still doesn't back off of it, right? He still goes forward with his presented, you know, false reality, you know, that he's a good guy, right? The Boy Scout.
There's something so powerful and so terrifying, I think, to people about some, you know, because I see this all the time. These guys are all actors, right? That's why they just applaud acting, right? They love acting, right? They love it. They love this stuff. So, you know, they're all acting like what they think humans are. That's what sociopaths do, right? Mm-hmm. They don't register with human emotions, either by programming or by birth, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I've heard there's people born that way. Usually it's, well, I don't know usually, but I've heard it's also caused by very traumatic experiences at a very young age, and your brain fractures, right? And then you create kind of an alter ego so that you don't connect with the weak part of you that's feeling all that emotion. And this is also part of CIA programming through MK Ultra and the Monarch program and the Genesis program, and I'm sure there's some element to that in the CIA agency programming as well. But it's all the same cabal programming that stems from, you know, Marduk and the Draconians and that whole group, right? That they valued intelligence, right, and controlling the mind, right, and controlling your own emotions, kind of thing. They're like, you know, like the Klingons or something like that, right? Like that's what they think is most important.
Right.
And they look at emotion as weak, right? Having any kind of emotion, showing any kind of emotion as weak, right? So that's what he's doing. He's demonstrating that. Right. Now, it's interesting with what's his name there from the CIA, right? Brennan, because you know he looks like he's out of a comic book. He's like a comic book villain, right? Like, yeah. Like his face is so exaggerated, right? But then when you hear him talk, it seems like, I mean, he's very, very good at like creating this soft persona, right? Very, very impressive. Like I watched him sit there and just blatantly lie about President Trump and describe President Trump as if he was doing the things that Brennan is doing, right? And I was just like, wow, that is so impressive. You could see how easily people could be deceived, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all watching this, and it's like if that's what's in front of you, you know, it's Clockwork Orange, right? It's like that's what you think is happening.
But the remarkable thing is it's the evidence, right? It's the contrary to the now brought up about evidence that's there. It's not that they changed their story, right? They keep towing the line, right? And you know, it's like they're executing a program. It's a script, right? They're just reading the script. They really can't deviate, right? Adam Schiff, has not written a new chapter, so in his screenplay.
I'm sure he's feverishly writing right now. He's got all types of his aides in his office just dancing around the room doing jazz hands and preparing for their next big production.
Jazz hands?
The dream come true.
I don't know what that is. Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. It's like what dancers do when they stop. You just kind of shake your hands. Jazz hands.
Okay.
but I'm just saying. I'm just making fun of the fact that it's just a show.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's so laughable. I mean, they could have played any part.
Yeah. Dan Bongino had an interesting way of take on this with Adam Schiff, and he was about his screenwriting capabilities, right? And that his, like with 4 billion other failed screenwriters, right? It's like Adam Schiff has never gotten any of his work, put into production, right? So he's,
right.
He's trying it out, on screen, right? On TV and live, where he says, "Oh, it's like 7, I'm going to only tell you this 7 times, and you better get it right."
Right.
Oh, should I have said 8? Should I have said 8?
It's like, if it was so powerful and so egregious, why not just read it? Why all the added extra stuff that you're... I mean, that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in government. Ever. It wasn't even effective or accurate, not even remotely. And I'm a fan of metaphor. I'm a fan of, like using symbolism to teach and explain something, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't even remotely... It's like, you are so obviously just intent on deceiving people right now.
Well, I think well, that was an interesting noise.
Yeah, sorry. I'm on the Autobahn. So,
that sounded like Formula One racing.
Yeah, there's some drag races around here sometimes. But I think I really think that you're coming up on everything kind of moves in like 7-year cycles, right? Or 7-day cycles, 7-year cycles, whatever, 7-decade cycles, right? And I just feel like right now is this is we just passed the 7th year of Kim's 7-year anniversary, and she officially became a trustee, I believe, on December 23rd, 2012. Now she took the position on her 40th birthday, but she was really just training. Then December 23rd, she became the actual trustee. So I think that's the right date. So we're right there. Like, we just passed. This is just the cycle playing out, right? And I just think this new cycle has got to empower a holistic sampling of the people. We should finally see what it's like to bear the weight and burden of, actually being responsible for one another, and the, and the joy and the privilege, to be honest, to be able to do that, to lift each other up versus constantly trying to keep your head above water as you push somebody else down, right? Which is kind of what our society is then.
Right. It's the crab mentality. Keep crawling out of the bucket and pull everyone down, and no one can get out of the bucket because everyone's pulling everyone else down.
Yeah. I remember that show, American Idol, I think it was called. And the one guy is Simon Powell. And he was just such a mean son of a bitch, right? You got these people that have just, it's their dream, right? And they have this one opportunity to get there in front of him, and he would just say the most awful things about people. Yeah. It was terrible, right? And I watched him do it. I remember thinking how mean-spirited American television was, right? That it's commonly accepted, right? If you're being mean to someone else, it makes you feel better. But it doesn't really, right? It's kind of like, if I push somebody else down, I don't actually get taller, right? They're just further below me.
Yeah.
Right? And I just never been a fan. I'd rather us rise up, be better. Everybody can rise at their own pace.
Yeah. The cooperative capitalism, you help everyone around you, and everyone's helping you, if they're doing the same as you. So the idea is just help everybody, and then we all rise. That's the simplest, as simple as it gets, and you incorporate that into capitalism, into business. You find your niche, you find what you love to do, you go out and create your product or service, and you do the best that you can, and people will come and do the same, right? And you help other business. Don't look at the guy that's, if you're in a restaurant, you're making a restaurant business, right? Don't be upset that another restaurant opens next door to you.
Oh, it's the best thing, yeah.
That means people, are going to come to that area because they have more choices, right? Look for the
Yep.
good things, look for the positive in the things that are coming to you. Don't look for the negative. Of course, you can find negative if you look for it, but you can also find positive if you look for it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're always, I'm so sensitive to like these terms that people use all the time, that they think are just normal things to say. They don't realize the programming, right? Like, just my luck. Like, well, why would you say that? I mean, think how lucky you really are. Like you wake up every day, your eyes just work. You don't even do anything to make it work. They just see, right? Like your lungs are working, your heart's working. For the most part, you probably got some place to live, right? You're not dead. I mean, like, things usually go your way in reality, right? But we don't look at it that way. We focus on the 0.05% of things that don't go our way, and we bring power and strength to them by repeating them over and over and telling everybody as if everybody needs to know what's going wrong. Meanwhile, I was laughing listening to some of the things, because you heard we had that little clip from Kim, right? And she very, very humbly and obviously in a very good mood. Which, believe me when I say, when Kim is in a good mood, it's because she's in a position of power, right? She knows she's got them, right? And I know she's got them, so it's a matter of time. I mean, like, and it's not a long time either. But she was just describing. She goes, the little things that we were able to accomplish this year. She said, right? But then Thomas took like 2 3-hour episodes to go through what has happened this year, and it's incredible. Anybody who hasn't listened to it, you should go listen to it.
No, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it's like as he's going, like we were reporting on it the whole time, right? Like we were like, the thing about it, the Federal Reserve is declared, it's nothing. It's bankrupt. There's no charter. It has no functionality whatsoever. Nothing. Right? It owes a debt to the United States of $4.2 quadrillion that was turned over, or it owes that to the trust that was turned over to the U.S. Treasury, so that we could bring in project money with useless Steve Mnuchin, right? He thinks he's the chosen one, right? Like chosen to be the scapegoat, I guess. But I think he's come around now. but it's just an amazing year. I mean, that alone is incredible. I mean, it's incredible. The $21 trillion debt that you always hear about, right? Gone. No more debt. China's debt, wiped out, gone. China's government, that is.
Right.
Not the Chinese elders. Chinese elders are very much in debt.
That's interesting.
So
that's an interesting perspective. The Chinese elders are in debt, but the Chinese government doesn't have the debt anymore.
No, they don't have it anymore. Kim wiped that out too, because the Chinese government has been working with Kim even before the U.S. government.
Okay.
Like they've been, at least amiable. And and I remember Kim actually proposed this solution to the military, right? Like early on, it was a whole proposal. I actually sent the proposal into them, right? This is like maybe the first 4 months we were talking, and she broke down how they had essentially taken out a line of credit from I can't remember which, I want to say like the People's Bank of China or something like that, right?
Okay.
They'd taken out a line of credit for like $500 billion. They'd used it to build the U.S. military equipment. Then they leased the U.S. military equipment back to the United States, and then from the money that the military was paying them for the equipment, they used that to pay their salaries so they could control the military. And that went on for like 3 years. So Kim, came up with a whole plan for them so that they could have the military back here in America, right? And she's like, look, she goes, we have these bonds that they're owed. I'll pay the debt here. It was brilliant. I mean, it was brilliant. It was like the first time I ever even thought about finance the way that she did it, right? She had these bonds, she moved it all over, and she proposed it to him. And I sent it in to General Dunford and Maddox through through my contacts, and they completely ignored it because they were part of the other side, right? They didn't want to fix the problem. To them, it wasn't a problem. It was just the way they were doing business, right? And they were paying homage to their masters. But eventually, when they went to kill Kim, right? They were trying to get a bounty for like $1 million or something to kill Kim, and they punched it into the system. And then Kim responded, and she's like, "I'm not going to approve releasing $1 million so you can assassinate me." it's just so funny when you think about it. It's like, and that's ever since then they've worked with her, because they realize, oh, we're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, well, I think we're on the wrong path if we're trying to get money from the one that, it doesn't work. And it's like time to reevaluate. Well, it seems like they've reevaluated at this point. So if there's if there's an alignment of with China, so the so I couldn't quite tell if China's in on this with Trump. If Xi Jinping is also in alignment with Trump, or is he in alignment with the CCP, Chinese Communist Party?
Yeah, I can't claim to know the inner workings there. I've dealt with, I did have a conversation with like one of the Dragon family members, the central bank and the 5-Star Trust, and also with one of the the young white dragon, like the new age of the dragon families, right? But none of them have any authority in the actual trust itself, right? But the board of trustees who sits on the board for the 5-Star Trust, they're in the system, and they're Rothschild. They told me that directly. So they admitted the Chinese elders, right? And they called them the Chinese elders. The Chinese elders was a group, and in that group it consisted of members from the IMF, and also also members from the Rothschild family. They told me that outright. So, it's funny when people are, because like this wasn't like some secret clandestine call, right? Like, this was a transaction we were working out with the government. Like Kim was supposed to be with me on the call, and I ended up like she couldn't make it, so I ended up dealing with it myself. But it's so interesting because everybody out there who thinks that they've mastered this, right? And they've tried to throw shade on Kim and on me and try to act like I've been deceived. It's like over and over again. I don't speak from a place of intel. It's like this is what I experienced firsthand, So it's really fascinating time to see how it plays out in history.
Yes, I think we're in this next year is going to be pretty revealing. Any which way I'm looking at the abundance is going to be flowing. So we're the change in what's happening in the government and I just don't know how fast it's going to happen. When is the impeachment trial going to happen? Right? I think Trump is saying that he wants to have a full trial, and is he looking at that as the way to reveal stuff, or is because it doesn't seem like he's frightened of the trial, and he's asking for a full trial.
Yeah. Here's my meme I picked up today about Nancy Pelosi. As she's playing, it's cooperation.
Yeah,
cooperation.
Cooperation. Yeah, I can't quite see what it says there on that though.
It says Nancy, change of plans. Bribe money hasn't cleared. Kim's is blocking. Stall as long as you can.
Yeah.
Let it put GS for George Soros.
Yeah, GS. Yeah. All right. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's pretty much close to what's going on. She's stalling, but the rule in the Senate that says that they have to wait for the transmittal from the House is just a rule, and Mitch McConnell can say, okay, we're changing the rules. We're going to go ahead and say you've gone ahead and you've done your work. You all voted. We're just going to go with what you voted on. All right. If you're going to show up with your managers, great. You're not going to. We're going to move forward, and your seat will be empty.
Yeah, it's interesting because even before that happened, I sensed that, like, obviously the impeachment. I'm like, well, I'm sure there's agreements that are in place, right? Like with Nancy Pelosi, and I bet you they have agreements, right? And Nancy Pelosi, true to form, right? She's playing both sides of the fence. This is just my speculation, But probably it's like, look, you guys are going to be the scapegoat. That's the deal. You're going to look like idiots, but you'll get to go free, right? You're not going to, be tortured or killed or anything. Which I don't know if that's true either, but maybe something like that. And then, she did what she always does, right? She had her plan B, where she was really going to bribe the Senate and pull the upset. But it's very obvious over the past 2 years to me that the comptroller, the real planner, right, the military mastermind that Marduk was, right, that he has, that clearly he's not around because they can't get anything right. They don't have, him running the flank for him anymore and like covering all their mistakes, right? And they keep thinking that that's going to happen. All of a sudden, he's just, there's just going to be it's going to show up. Like somehow the ETs are going to save him or something like that, right? But at this point, it's like, I saw a picture today of Camelot Castle, in London or England somewhere, and they were flying the Q flag.
Yeah, I don't think there is a Camelot Castle, but
no, there is. Yeah, there is.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna pull it up for you.
Well, okay, that's fine. But I'm thinking it's it's there may be one but it wasn't at the time of King Arthur.
No, I don't know if I don't think it's the real Camelot.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Is it a bar? Like right next to toxic, right next to toxic masculinity.
Yeah, maybe. Look, that's Camelot. After the Q flag. I mean, it looks like an armory of some kind.
Yeah, I get it.
I just thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Q arrives at Camelot.
Well, that's good. Go Camelot.
Go Camelot. That's what I'm saying. Hey, I appreciate the shout out.
Yeah.
I take all those things personally, all of them.
Yeah.
I don't care what they're talking about.
Well, it's just like in this Kringle Gold ecosystem I set up. I put the governing structure. So whenever we have our we have this structure of having a privy council, right, which is kind of like what they have in England. I said, well, we'll add sheriffs, like the sheriff of Nottingham, to the community leader's house, and they're responsible for people. Then I said, okay, we're going to have knights, the ones that are in charge of the human empowerment projects, right? And from these from the set aside that we have for doing the human empowerment projects, we'll put in knights. So it kind of has and then we have like a round table of sheriffs.
Round table. Yeah.
Right. So the community leaders, right? They can come together in a table, and that way, this is the governing structure, right? So going back to something that is somewhat similar, but looking at chivalry as being part of their honor, integrity. Yeah, so doing everything straight democracy, like I don't know, can't deal with that, right? Because of we're seeing all the bad things are coming from democracy, right? It's the mob rule, and if you can control the minds, you're able to go ahead and overwhelm the system, and that's why Hillary or all of the other obvious suspects out there are always saying that he's harming our democracy. Theirs, right? Their group, the cabal.
Their democracy, right?
Yeah, the cabal democracy. And that's what they're talking about, right? They're not talking about all the people.
It's amazing that they keep even calling. I mean, I just find it to be. It just really professes their ignorance over and over again. I was trying. We were working with this young lady up in upstate New York, trying to get her autistic son back, right? And this woman comes on, Francesca something or other, I can't remember, but she's like, she's spoken to like the New York State Assembly, and she's got like a national following, right, of people gathered around like CPS and the vaccines. So like she was there on the call with her, and I got to talk to her. She was so excited about what I was talking about, Lawful America, and so she got like we did this interview, like, and I told her, I'm like, look, do it now if you're going to do it, because if you tell them that you're going to interview me, they're going to block you, right? So we did it and like got the interview out, and then she like comes to find out she's on like 4 different television channels and stuff, right, promoting this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, it's really amazing, like I gotta learn how she did it,
Right.
Like, how do you just get yourself out there on television channels like that, right? Because she had to upload it to like 4 different television channels by like midnight, So it's really a huge win in the sense that we're fighting against them suppressing us, right?
Right.
And trying to get this message out. And say, look, there's a way that we can beat them, but we need to come together. And you're trying to get through this, break through this bubble. And so I'm excited about that because it gives us a lot more exposure and a way to talk about it. And, because we're right on the verge of funding, right? I mean, really finally there, where, all the things that they keep kicking up dust about at this point, it's just silly, to be honest. There's just no way there's no way that they can win. The critical mass has shifted in the way of the people. And, but, you got to think, we'll actually be able to put the financial weight behind this for the first time in history to fight for our freedom and actually be supported by the highest authority in the land, on the planet, actually. And I'm just thinking about it. It's like, how are you going to stop that flow? When people are there, and then you start taking away money concerns, you start funding humanitarian projects and providing dream jobs for people, right? High-paying jobs, doing something people love. I mean,
right.
You can hardly even find jobs like that anymore.
Right. Well, the thing is, people can do the jobs they love through entrepreneurial activities, right? If they are, so keen about something, they can do it as their own business, right? And it doesn't have to be massive, right? They can start off small, and it's like not everyone's gonna be able to create, an international conglomerate, but sometimes people just need to make a bed and breakfast. Someone needs to make, a restaurant, right? It's like whatever they decide they want to do, right? It could be counseling kids, right? But you can turn that into a business if the funding is there, right? And you're not worried about how you're going to get the bills paid, but you have to make something that's going to be at least sustainable, right? So you get started.
I remember I used to do the Real Truth Call with Dr. WC, and Dr. WC is a lovely person, and she would open the call up and for people to talk about their projects, right? And this little old lady came on the call, and she had this project, right? She just wanted to pay off her house, right? And then she wanted to have a soup kitchen, like literally wanted to make soup, not like for the whole. She was famous for her soup, I guess. She just wanted to make soup, right? That's all she wanted to do. It was such a sweet, thoughtful little project, right? Not going to be imposed on anybody. I just thought, what a great project, I mean, like, everybody benefits from soup. It's like, it's a good thing. Yeah. There's just levels, all types of levels, and then think of all the people that will be able to employ it, Like, I love being able to talk to people who don't have a project idea, right? Mm-hmm. Who just they want to be part of something, but they want to contribute, but they don't know how. I love talking to those people because, you know, those people will come in and they're going to contribute in so many ways, and they're just happy to be part of, you know, something bigger. And then inevitably, you know, as you travel around the world and check out other projects and you get involved, you know, you're going to find something that sparks you, right?
Right.
That like inspires you, and you want to contribute in that way, and you see a way to do it.
Well, it's most people that I actually had a lot of experience with kind of sort of like you know, consulting with people that wanted to do a business, right? And they had an idea what they want to do, and I completely talked them out of it.
Okay.
Because you know, what they really didn't want to do that, right? They had an idea that that's what they wanted to do, but really through talking with them, I kind of like lead them to the door and say, well, no, this is what you're really looking to do, right?
Right. No, yeah, I do the same. You know, I always ask people that because people always have generic kind of projects that they heard someone else say, right? Like, you know, Bruce on the Big Call would always be talking about these, you know, hydrophilic or hydroponic farms, right? And so everybody would talk, yeah, we're going to have hydroponic farms. And I'm like, do you want to be a farmer? I mean, which is great if you do. I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
Most people didn't, you know, they just wanted healthy food.
Oh yeah, especially on that. I mean, I had talked so many, just in not through CEO space, but from doing work at the cannabis industry, medical cannabis in California. All these people that were looking at just the money, right? They wanted money is all they wanted. Right? They didn't really care about healing people or working with people. I mean, they were just interested in the money, right? And,
right.
And I said, okay, well, you want to be a grower, right? Have you ever grown anything? No, never. You ever grow a plant, like one plant, you know, flowers, you know, you ever throw a seed out and something happened, right? No.
Right. By accident, right?
Right. What? Yeah. I said, do you know what work is involved in actually growing? And they have like an idea. Well, yeah, you plant the seeds in the soil and you put water on it and it grows. Oh, good. And then how much time does it take to do that? You know, I go along with it, right? And they'll think, well, it's like, you know, I could probably, you know, put like 10 minutes a day, you know, watering the plants and so, okay, well, you know that it might be taking you somewhere in the air, maybe 10 hours a day to work on this project every day, right? And then you can, you know, work for like 4 months, and then you can take off for 3 weeks. Is that okay for you? But you have to work every day. So I try to give them some perspective, and I a lot of times I talk them out of it. So you have no idea what you want to do, right? And so many people did it. You know, I saw it, and then especially they're going to do hydroponic, which is actually more difficult to do, less forgiving on mistakes, right? And they you know, some people would really be successful at it, and that's okay. But a lot of people just didn't have the right perspective. But what they want to do was, I said, you know, make money. Right? They just wanted to be involved, and they wanted to have. You know, they were tired of being poor.
Right. It really requires. I mean, if we're going to build a new world, it requires a different perspective, right? We have to look at, you know, more holistically. Like, if we're going to work a lot, I mean, no matter how much you work, you definitely want to do something that you're going to enjoy. You know, some people do love gardening and farming, and they love that. And you know, I think the more you have, the better. You know, because the more real, fresh product you have, the less, you know, ridiculous, GMOs and things of that nature that you end up having, right? You end up actually having people that are just, you know, smaller farms and more people doing it. You know, well, I think that's good. And
you know, it's like I love growing, right? You know, and when I did it, I got right into it, right? But I also did it while I was really young. I mean, I was brought up by my grandmother with a little garden on the side of the house, right? You know, we'd have like 3 tomato plants, and there'd be like a bunch of green beans, and then there'd be some squash, right, and some carrots, and some just onion even, and we harvest along the way, and then I graduated up to actually kind of a lot size garden, right? That I worked with someone who was doing that for his own family, right? And I worked with him. He paid me to do odd jobs, right? But I loved working that. Now I didn't always have a garden, but when I had the chance to get into doing this with medical marijuana, I loved doing it, right? And but you have to learn what it is that the plant likes, right? And how the plant reacts and what the plant does, and understanding it. So it's like one of my favorite stories is I worked on I was assisting a gardener, right? A marijuana gardener up in Humboldt, and he had doing it forever, right? And I'm just learning, so I'm volunteering, right? I'm participating, right? And so I had one plant that I was going to experiment on, and that one plant became the biggest plant on the garden. Right? It ended up yielding 8.5 pounds. Now,
wow.
Considering most plants, in a grow would if you topped 1 pound, that would be humongous, right?
Right.
But this became a super huge tree, and one of the things I did to it is when it was about 6 foot tall, I hollowed it out. Right, I crawled up from the ground inside. I crawled up and I removed every little tiny little branch, every leaf, everything except for the very outer structure. Right, just some leaves out on the end. 2 weeks later, that had all filled in, and it had grown twice the size. And it went right
Amazing.
in. Yeah, and so it's just something that I picked up on, right? I did some other techniques in there as well, but on that one plant, which had to do with breaking the branches to let it grow wider in a bowl shape. So it's actually, the idea was to make a giant bowl, almost like a parabolic dish facing the sun, right?
Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. I have a similar story. I have killed every plant I've ever owned, so I don't try to grow anything.
Okay, well, don't try to be a grower then. That's would be my advice.
No, exactly. See, I know. I love to create, although nurturing of plants for all that period of time, I'm not the best at.
Well, one of the things I like to really grow is herbs, right? Herbs for cooking. All right. So,
sure, yeah. So very, very, very healthy for you too. I know a longevity doctor who's it looks like he's 40 years old and he's like 65, and he's very big on every day you should have multiple herbs, fresh herbs every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, and okay. I have to deal with a lot of herbs that are dried out, right? And okay, some flavor is there, but it's just not the same. It's just, so I'd much rather have it growing. Now, I'm out of rosemary. My rosemary bush died, right? So I'm lacking rosemary right now. It's hard to grow in the Philippines. It just doesn't like the weather, I guess.
Yeah. But anyways, so I think that'll be the fun part, is identifying new projects and new opportunities and, exceptional ideas and individuals and worthy causes. I'm pretty good at actually.
Yeah.
But so I'm looking forward to see that next stage.
Yes. All right. Well, are we good? Are we done? We're approaching the new year. Or at least for me, it's New Year's Eve.
Well, Happy New Year's, and yes, we're good, and I guess I'll see you in 2020 for you, anyways.
Yeah. Well, and you'll be just. Oh, well, are you going to make it?
I don't think I will make it tomorrow night. I'm sorry, I just realized.
Yeah. So, if you want, we could do something earlier, but that would be up to you.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to do it. If you're up at 9, we could try to do it then.
I'm up from 6 or 7 usually. I usually up
okay.
from 6. So if you want to do it at 6, you could do it at 6, 7, 8.
Let's shoot for 8 o'clock.
Okay, all right. That sounds good. Yeah. We can make it short. We could just do, a Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
And see if Kim has a present.
Oh, let's hope. I mean, wouldn't it be just amazing to ring in the new year, funded, and excited about, all the great things we're going to be able to do. That'd be the greatest New Year present ever.
I think so, too.
When you start the year.
So. I do think so.
All right.
All right, everyone.
Cool gang, man. Talk to you later.
All right, bye, everyone. Be sure to subscribe. Become a subscriber at www.g1wga.love. Sign up for free or donations of $1.11, $8.88 a month, or $9.99 a year. Plus, any other donations are also accepted there as membership. Please do what you can. We appreciate it, and we'll see you for the next year. Happy New Year. It'll be an exciting and abundant 2020.